welcome to the Capital K Knitting Podcast. My name is Bethany, and I think this is episode 30, which for some reason feels like a milestone, especially since I have been doing videos for a while now and have hit 500 subscribers, and that's just awesome. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for letting me talk at length about knitting projects. This is a knitting podcast if you're new. I do sew every once in a while, and I just learned how to do a couple of crochet stitches. So that's really fun. I am a very experienced sewist. I am I would say an adventurous intermediate knitter and like the lowest beginner crocheter ever. So there's a really big spread of skill here and lack thereof. So I would ask you if you have a tip for me in any of those areas. I would love for you to share that with me. Feel free to comment, and also there's some jargon that just comes with a couple of, I'm sure there's crochet jargon that I don't understand. I probably won't use any of that. But knitting jargon and sewing jargon that if you are like, what is that? Feel free to ask a question. I do try to make an effort for to not just speak in acronyms or what do I want to say, like knitting ease. I do really try to do that here on the podcast. But if I slip up and make a mistake and you're like, what the heck was she talking about? Definitely ask, because yeah, I want you to be able to know what's going on. I had these like this, and my kids came in here and rearranged them in sequential order, I guess. Oh no, my finished objects are falling down. There's just a pile down there. And there actually is a pile this time, which is really cool. I am uncertain of how many finished objects I have to show you today, because I have really tried to stick with my goal of not casting on a ton of stuff, even though it is so hard right now. My Zoom knitting group is casting on the Eyelet Burst shawl by Stephen West right now. And if you haven't seen it, it's really, really pretty. This, like, the way my hair is waving right now, okay, my hair is damp. Also, some of my finished objects are damp. We're just coming to this very imperfectly today, and that's okay. I say to myself. But there are so many of my friends casting on the Eyelet Burst shawl, and it's beautiful and huge. And I still have like the 2 shawls on my needles. Those are still going. Those are still my long-term projects for this year. And I'm still tempted to cast that on. And I also have just I was going to say finalized, but basically found enough yarn to make an option for myself out of my stash for the Geo Gradient MCAL, the West Knits October MCAL this year, which I hope I'm in love with. I've had I've only done the I was going to say test knit. That's not it. Mystery knit along is what MCAL stands for. I've only done the mystery knit along twice. I did the shawlography and I finished that, and I loved the techniques, and the only thing I kind of wished for that one is that it was a little deeper, and I've thought about how I could actually accomplish that if I knit it again, because I gifted that shawl to my grandmother-in-law, who actually is the one who painted this mug for me. She's really cute. In fact, yeah, I'll tell you about other things about her later. She's adorable. So and then the twist and turns, like if you loved twist and turns, then great. I'm so glad. But I got halfway through like the the loopy chevron things, and I was like, this is not, what's the phrase? It's not giving. I'm 37. I shouldn't be saying that phrase, but it always makes me laugh. Okay, and it really wasn't. I was not feeling it that year. And I had even made an effort to like clear my needles before October and everything. So yeah, I'm really curious as to what this year will hold. I think I'm gonna like it just by the name GeoGradient and like the way that he set up instructions about what yarns would be best for you to choose. I think I'm gonna be good about that. But anyway, all of that to say, I don't know how many finished objects I have. I will put a little like counter there or number there when I know how many there are. Wow, guys, imperfectly for sure showing up today. So yeah, it'll be a surprise for me too. I have one sewing FO to show you. I am so proud of it, guys. And I won't go into huge detail about it because I didn't really modify very much for it. So this is a winter coat for my oldest son. He is 8 years old. And this is it. It's called the Oatlands coat. And I cannot recommend this pattern highly enough. So it has a ton of options in it. It has like this classic shape. It has a bell shape for the coat if you want like a more feminine look. This is the classic shape. And even though I know my daughter's probably going to wear it after him, I chose the classic shape because it's just a, good look. There's a collar and a hood, but there's like 2 different colors you can choose from. There's 2 different kinds of sleeves you can choose. Well, 3 actually, because yeah, it's just really great. Now, the thing that I modified for it is I did this inside, like for this lining, can you see my wobbly quilting? This is not real quilting. All I'm doing is like running it through here because there's cotton batting on the lining. This is an orange corduroy that I was given. I was gifted when a friend of mine was moving. She was purging her fabric stash, and I got a ton of wool and corduroy and just like beautiful stuff that she was just like, yeah, get it out of here. It's less for me to move. And she'd been living in that house for 20 years, maybe more. So she had like this great fabric stash closet, fabric pantry closet thing. It was really, really great. So the only things that I had to purchase for this coat was the cotton batting and then this like faux fur stuff here. So all of this was from my fabric stash, which was really great. He chose this green to go on the top, so I have lovingly named it the pumpkin coat because it's just adorable. This is so silky soft, this faux fur, and he chose that for the inside of the, oh, I got a little tail there, whoops. He chose that for the inside of the hood, and every time he puts it on, he goes, oh, so it's a win. It's a win-win. I also put the collar on it just because I think it looks nice with that, even though it's not necessary with the hood on it. There's this little hanging loop you can put on it, and she just has these great tips in the pattern. And I will say that this is one of the times that I was trying really hard not to skip or skim anything. I would go to the part that I was looking for and read through it and make sure I didn't miss a step, and it just went really, really well. So I added my little height handmade thing back there. Height is my last name, so that's why that's there. And then she has these great pocket options. So there's this little pocket flap, which you can omit if you want. There's also this little angled pocket, which you can do by itself if you want. But then there's also this pocket, which you can also do by itself. But you can do them all together too. And I am extra, so I did all of them. And then I also, this is not in the pattern, I cut out one of the regular pockets and put it on the inside, which he was like, maybe I could put my wallet there. And I was like, yeah, that's a really good idea to be a secret. So the only thing left, so it's not technically all the way finished. The only thing left is to put snaps on the front. Now, he wants snaps, but I am not sure if I will be able to accomplish that. I might have to do buttons anyway. He said he wanted snaps because that would be just easier to put on for him, which is fine. And he can do buttons, but you know, he's 8. He can do buttons, but he didn't want that. So the problem is I have corduroy interfacing, batting, and this wool fabric here, which is like, I mean, it's a chunky layered thing. And I did that on purpose. But then when I got the snaps in, which I forgot to even get like the tool that you use to like hammer it on. So that's coming in the mail. When I saw the snaps and I like set them on there, I was like, I don't even know if those are going to go through this fabric. I don't know. So if you have any tips on snaps for me, that would be great. I might end up just doing buttons for him. Because we're past zipper stuff, but I kind of wish I had thought of installing a zipper, because I can do that and I didn't think about it. So maybe the next one I'll think of that. So there is a ton of top stitching in this pattern, which just really makes it pop. I really love that. At the beginning I was like, are you serious? We're top stitching everything? And basically the pattern was like, yes, we are. But it's just come out so well, guys. The pumpkin coat. Come on. Can you just see him this fall? He's gonna be so cozy and still making that weird face when the fur touches his face. I love it. I did make sure while I was at the fabric store getting this, shout out to my sister-in-law Alyssa Joe, who said be careful with the faux fur because so much of it is dry clean only. So if you go to the fabric store, you can check the bolt and the bolt will tell you what the care instructions are for the fabric. And this one is a wash and tumble dry. So we're safe there, which is great. I am so proud of this coat. Not only because I think it looks amazing, it's one of the best things I've ever sewn, but also because it's going to be really functional for him. And also because I was able to overcome a lot of mental battles while I was sewing it. So I really set up some realistic goals for myself when I was sewing it, just doing like a part a day, a part. So one part was assembling the pattern. If you're printing your own pattern, that's a huge part, is just like taping the pieces together and making sure you have everything that you need. And then another part was washing the fabric. And another part was just cutting out the outer fabric and then cutting out the lining. And then going to get the few things that I didn't have and cutting those out, you know, just really baby stepping my way through the sewing process. And it was hard to do sometimes, but it did help me with my like sense of accomplishment issues where I would find myself getting through, say I made the hood and then I was like, oh, and now I'll make the collar, and saying, okay, you made the hood and now you made the collar, but that's actually 2 things, so we should stop now before you get ahead of yourself and it's 1 in the morning and you're crying because your thread keeps breaking. So there's that. I just truly had a wonderful time, and it showed me just the The power of biting off a little bit every day. It is hard for me to see the benefits of the knitting 30 minutes a day thing. I know a lot of people do that. I often during the day, until this point in the day, right? Is my camera not? Guys, have you been lopsided this whole time? Have you been lopsided this whole time? Are you kidding me? Is that better? I'm so sorry. Have you been watching like this the whole time? I'm so sorry. We're professional over here. Yeah. But with sewing, it can happen so much faster because you're not creating the fabric as you go, right? The cutting out part, man, that usually kills me because I just want to get to the sewing. But because I was giving myself a realistic timeline, because I don't get 30 minutes of just downtime a lot of times. I'm one of those that is sleeping up until my children wake up. Like, that's what's happening. There is no getting up early, having a cup of coffee, and like thinking about my intentions before they wake up. That's not happening. I get up when they get up and we literally make breakfast and then we talk about what's happening during the day. There isn't there isn't much time that I'm by myself until they go to bed. So, which is fine and good, but I need to remind myself of that a lot, where my life is not like everyone else's life or anyone else's life. And that is fine. So the comparison is silly, you know? So we're getting deep early on in this episode. We're going to move on, okay? Finished objects knitting wise. We've got a few little things, which are very sweet. Two of which were whips last time. This is the Malabrigo yarn, Malabrigo sock yarn in the colorway Sneezy. These are just a pair of broken rib socks. So I did a 2x2 cuff on with 64 stitches around on a 2.25 millimeter needle, which is a US 1. I do my legs kind of long. It's about 5.5 inches after the cuff. Then I do a heel flap and gusset, and I have this tread heavy like thing going on here, and that is because I wear my socks out quite a bit. And it actually disappears a little bit here. It's harder to see. I just posted last time we talked the heel flap and the heel flap stitch pickup and the gusset decreases. So the next video that's going to come out is going to be the foot and the toe. So they're relatively easy because the foot is just a tube, right? I am so happy with these. I tried them on. They fit really well. I haven't worn them at all because they just seem a little precious right now. Yeah, I need to wear them in, but they seem precious. So they're sitting with my 24-day socks, which I have also not worn yet because those also seem precious. Who knows what's happening to me? I don't know. Okay, next is my radish socks. Don't they look great? I'm so excited about these. These are for my sister for her birthday. Her birthday was in August. This first color is, by the way, the stats for these are exactly the same. 64 stitches, 2x2 rib for like 25 rows, I think. Rounds, sorry. For 25 rounds. And then this one though, the leg and the foot are a little bit shorter because she has smaller feet than me. So this top one, this first color is Teeny Buttons Bartok colorway, which I still have a little bit left. I'm so excited. I think I have enough to make another pair for myself, which that would be awesome. This green is by Moonstone Dye Works. This is a knitted wit mini called Carnelian. That's the red. Then Teeny Button shows up again down here, which is kind of funny how color is so relative, because doesn't that bottom one like seem to pop so much more than this one, but they're the same color. And then this is the rest of the Malabrigo Sneezy yarn. And obviously I ran out, and this is oh, I have it. This is called Socks That Rock. Yeah, and it is 100% superwash merino. The rest of them are 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon bases, but this one is only superwash merino, and it is by Socks That Rock in the Vine Maple colorway. I really like that one, and I really like how it turned out. I really like how it turned out to look sedimentary, you know, like there are layers of clay or, you know, under there. I really like that. And I'm hoping she'll like that too. She's a big gardening nerd, and she has radishes in her garden this year, and so I thought she'd really like those. Okay, the next thing that I made is a coffee Chemex cover cozy, which I have never done, but here it is. I don't know if you've ever seen a Chemex coffee pot. I guess it's a pot. It looks like a vase, essentially. You put the filter in, you put your grounds in, and then you pour the hot water over the grounds yourself. It's very barista-y. My sister does that all the time. She's literally a qualified barista. She's gone to like the classes in California and taught classes in California at the barista conference. It's a real thing over there. She's so much of a coffee person that she doesn't tolerate coffee shaming at all. If people are like, oh, real men drink just black coffee, and she's just like, get out of here, you don't know what you're talking about. Coffee is coffee. You drink coffee how you like coffee. Just stop. She's so great. But this will go over the Chemex. It has a flat bottom on it, and then you can see the increases here. This is a free pattern. I can't remember the name of it, so I'll put it up here. But it's got these increases on it to make this circle, and then you do a purl round, and then you go into this twisted rib. Originally, I started doing it with just 2 strands of this, which is an Ella Ray yarn. I also used it on this crochet throw, and I'll be showing that to you later, so I'll get that tag out to show you, because I can't remember. I know it's called golden brown, but I don't remember exactly the percentages of the blend that it is. So I do know it's a high percentage of acrylic, and I did that on purpose so that they'd be able to wash this. My brother-in-law Ned also has an August birthday, and I asked him what he wanted, and he said he wanted a Chemex cozy. So I said, well, I will see if there's a pattern for that. And there was. So I modified it though. What you're supposed to do is this twisted rib, and then you're supposed to do a round of eyelets, like a knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 2 together, yarn over, like all the way around. And then you're supposed to do, I think, a few more rounds, and then you bind off, and then you lace something through the eyelets, and then you can pull it on the Chemex. So instead, for the last, I don't know, four rounds, I just knit back and forth flat, which, because of the twisted rib, I had to actually think about that and go, okay, now I have to twist my purls and do regular knit stitches, because it's in this twisted rib, it's just twisting the knit stitches. So I did that, and then, oh, I think I might need to snip an end here. That's a good idea. I'll double check these gifts for ends before I send them off. And then I did an I-cord bind off, and I did Nitty Natty's loose, or not loose, stretchy I-cord bind off. I did that, and it's great. It's not tight. And for bind offs, I usually have a harder time making them loose. So I often have to like switch needle sizes or just be really, really mindful the whole time. And sometimes even with that, I'm trying, but it's not really working very well. And then I just continued the I-cord after the end of the round and made the loop, tied it on there, and then later attached a button. So I think I like that better than the other one. So there's that one. Oh, and I started with 2 strands of this one, but then I added in a strand of the vine maple from Socks That Rock in with it, and I think that made the fabric a lot better. I think on the bottom it's going to be just fine, because no one's going to be looking at the bottom when it's stretched out. But this one, I was able to see through it quite a bit, and I thought, that's not what I want. It is a bulky and super bulky pattern, so you can use either one with it. So I had 2 strands of DK and a fingering strand. It might be classified as worsted. When I grab it for the crochet one, we'll look at it together and we'll see. But I liked it a lot better with that. I think it also gave it a little more stability, just because I feel like the twist on the vine maple is a lot higher, and so it's a little stiffer, which is nice. Okay, woo, we're getting there, friends. We're getting there. I have 1, 2, 3 more finished objects to share, so we're gonna get there. The next one is the Tilda mittens. These were so fast. This is what I originally cast on to give my brother-in-law, but then when I thought about it, I thought, you know what? I don't know if he even likes mittens. I don't know if he even wears mittens. I might be giving him something he doesn't even want. So that's why I asked him what he wanted. And then he told me something different. And I had even said, like, are you a mitten person? Are you a gloves person? He said, yeah, I think I would be a gloves person. But if you're asking me what I would like, this is something I was thinking would be cool. And I thought, well, I can totally do that. And it was great because I was able to get the Chemex thing done in like 2 days, because it's small and it's a bulky knit. So that was great. These are the Tilda mittens. They are wonderful. They are only one size. I think that if you have a bigger hand than my hand is 7.5 inches, like around the palm as a circumference. So if you have a bigger hand circumference than that, you probably want to modify it or maybe choose something else, because it is only one size. I'm noticing that there's a big ol' hole on the thumb here in my hand. Shoot, I'll have to go in and fix that. I already blocked these and everything. I fixed them on like here and here and here, and then this one is just a big ol' gap. Okay, I'll get onto that. I don't know who these are for. I think I'm just gonna put them in a little gift basket. I've actually gotten to this point where I'll knit something and go, oh, that's nice. I'll keep that aside as a gift for someone at some point. That's where I'm at, and I really love it. This is the only thing in the gift basket now, because the other things are, going off to people. I have these. I have a hat that I cranked out of faux fur yarn for the youngest son, my nephew there. And then there's a pair of mittens that I'm going to show you in a minute that I added something to. And those are for them. And then, oh, and then I have the cotton ranunculus that I knit earlier in the year, and that's for my sister as well. So it's going to be just all these hand knit things going off to them. And then I'll put this in the basket as well. These are sock yarns, and that's why I feel like I can put it in a basket as gifts. Here, we'll get the basket of yarn again. I have, this is Cascade Heritage. It's just a 75, ooh, that's like glowing. It's a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, as is this one. This is a yarn I've had forever, and I will have to look up what it is. I believe the colorway name is Antofagasta, but I cannot pronounce the maker of the yarn or the base. I think I can't pronounce the base. So anyway, I always have trouble with this, which actually is why I'm trying to use a lot of it up, because I can never say it. So there's that. I used quite a bit of these because I had these left over from a couple of projects actually, and I'd really like to move on to other yarns. And sometimes I feel like if something is sticking around for too long in the leftovers, I'm just like, okay, let's get out of here. We'll make something with you so we can move on. This is Cascade Heritage yarn in the color, I think number 2, which is funny because it's white. So I'm like, what's color number 1? Is color number 1 black? Or is it, I would think it would have to be. Color number 1 is a black and this is a white, and then everything comes after that? Or is there a lighter one than this somehow? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. So I held 2 strands of the white yarn and 2 strands from the white and gray yarn together. So it made this fun situation. I like them a lot. I think they're going to be really pretty on whoever's hands I give them to, especially when I fix that hole in the corner there of the thumb. I followed, I don't know if the pattern says to do a 1x1 rib. I did a 2x2 rib, but the rest of it I followed exactly. And it has these beautiful cables on it. And you can see these side ones like mirror each other. And then this is a braid cable that goes up. I've been meaning to make these tilde mittens for ages. I think I got this pattern last year, and I really wanted to make it with this gray yarn that I had, but I realized as I was knitting it up, it's this woolen spun or blown yarn. I'm not sure, but it's got a lot of air in it. And when I was knitting it up at this recommended needle size, it was just squishing the life out of the yarn. So I have to do something else with that one, but I really like the way that this turned out. This is really nice, and it'll be washable for whoever gets them in the future. So that's a good finished object. Mostly the reason that I think this is so funny is I cast on one cuff here, and then I paused and thought, I'm not even sure if he wants these. And then I asked him what he wanted, and he told me. And then I finished the mittens before I did the Chemex cozy. For some reason, it was easier for me to just finish the mittens than to tear everything out and put it back. I don't know why. Isn't it funny what your brain is like? No, that would not be. That would be more mental energy somehow. Okay, and this is another damp finished object. This is a muscle burrow for my husband. It is done in knitting Nakabi yarn. Kelsey is the dyer for knitting Nakabi, and she is just very sweet, first of all, And I love her yarn. It's just wonderful. Oh my goodness. I love it. It is naturally dyed, non-superwash yarn. So this is her merino base, and it's just so plump and squishy and not rustic at all. I know some people are scared of non-superwash yarns just because, not because they can't take care of it, not because they, want to throw it in the dryer, but because they just are afraid it's going to be too prickly. And this is one of the softest one of the softest yarns I've ever dealt with in my life. I love it. Love it so much. So obviously you can see the muscle burrow starts at one end, and then you knit just a tube and do the other end. I did it the Nitty Natty way and put some ribbing in the middle, so that this is still kind of damp, so I don't want to pull on it too much. But you put it inside itself, and then it's I'll put a picture of him in it, once it dries, or me in it if he's not available once it dries. Because you would, well, I guess you can see it this way. So it's going to look like that, and then he can, flip that brim, or it's going to look like that. So I really enjoyed this one. I haven't done a muscle burrow in a while, and putting the ribbing on I was going to say on the bottom, in the middle, is really nice. I think the way it looks is really, really fun, and gives it a little more snugness to it. My husband really likes the hats to be snug. He likes it to be able to feel like a little bit of what I want to say, like pressure almost. I guess maybe that's it, or at least just like to be able to feel that his hat is there. I knit these in, this is the Golden Rays colorway. You can see I've got maybe 40 grams left of that. And I want to use it in something for me now because I think it's gorgeous. And it's just one of my favorite yellows she's ever done. I love it so much. And then the other side is called Strawberry Fields. Now I used 2 skeins for this, for the other side, because obviously it was 2/3 of the hat. But I have 81 grams left of the second skein, so it wasn't much. So especially if you're, if you know that the muscle burrow you're going to use is, if you want it to be half and half, then you would totally be able to get away with 2 skeins of DK. That'd be fine. But my husband wanted the brim to be this pink on both sides. So I had originally knit the yellow and then knit half the ribbing in the yellow. But then I realized it would always be both colors, and he wanted the option to do just one color and then the option to do a 2-color side. So because if you fold it in on itself, this side is going to be covered when you flip the brim, right? And then vice versa. So if he wanted to, there wasn't really a way for me to do it to where he could have a yellow option and like an all yellow option and an all pink option, and he chose the all pink option as what he wanted. So that one's done, and I'm really excited about it because my husband has not been a person, he's not a knit-worthy person. And he's okay with that, and I'm okay with that. Until recently, where last year for his birthday, I knit him a Porty hat, which is also a pattern by Ysolda Teague, and it was another yellow. It was like a more muted yellow, like mustardy yellow, and he wore that all fall and into the winter, which surprised me. But he liked it a lot, so he's at least knit worthy for hats. I asked him recently, is there anything else you would like me to make you? Because right now I've knit you 2 hats and that's kind of it. You know what I mean? Like, unless you need another one at some point because like we lose one or something, or you want a different color, then I don't know that I'm going to be knitting you anything else. And he said, well, I thought about a sweater, but I don't know if that's something you would want to do. I don't even know what kind of yarn I would want and all of that. And I thought, yeah, that's way later. That's a way later thing. And I knit my DK Muscle Bro hats on a 3.75 needle. So, this one, I like the way it drapes. I like that it's not too loose. I realized recently that I do my DK Muscle Bros on a 3.75 and then I do my worsted ones on a 4. So I'm wondering if it would be worth doing them on a 4.5, the worsted ones on a 4.5, and if I would like that or not. I'm not sure. I'm still thinking about it. Okay, and here is the crochet huge granny square lap blanket. Oh man, isn't that fun? I was astounded by the blocking process for this. This is my first finished crochet project. My first cast on crochet project is the grannies in a row socks, but I haven't worked on those at all, so you're not going to see them this time. But this one, I measured it before I blocked it, and it was 27.5 inches. And then when I put it in the water, right, as soon as I got it out, it was 34 and a bit. So it was over 7 inches. Hi. So this is just various yarns that I had in my stash, and a lot of them came from my grandmother-in-law, who has given me various knitting things. She was a knitter. She no longer is because it just hurts her hands a lot. And I am so thankful for all the things that she's given me. Knitting needles, notions, this felted project bag that's beautiful, that she made, and just countless things. And then yarn. So she gave me this yarn, this one, and then of course they repeat again. This one was already in my stash, and then this one was as well. So I was planning on doing doing the granny square part, and then doing like a border stitch, a shell stitch kind of thing. It wasn't the shell stitch, but it was like that. And I would have to learn that because I don't know it, but I thought it looked pretty, and I was going to add that onto it. But I don't have enough yarn. I guess I could have frogged it back, but by the time I took this one, I was in the middle of a round on this when I cast this on and finished it. So I knew that I would just need to try to get to the end of where I was for the round that I was currently in. And this is all I have left of that one. So obviously I wouldn't make it around it again. And I'm okay with that. I think as a first crochet project, this is totally great. And it's a lap blanket that I use on my couch. It's not like it's, gonna be something super, so this is where I had to add my yarn back in. I barely made it, friends. And I really like it though. I really like the whole double crochet rhythm. I watched, when I was learning to make the granny squares, I watched a lot of things, and I thought, oh, you know what? I'll make a granny square blanket, and then I'll make a granny stripe blanket, and then I'll make this and this and this. And at this point, I I'm so glad I just continued on with the granny square blanket, because I do like the double crochet rhythm and I like a lot of things, but I think if I had also cast on a granny stripe blanket, that I would be kind of done right now and that I would have to pause it. So I might as well just start it later if that's what's gonna happen. I have, most of this is Patton's Croy Classic Wool, and this is the, yeah, this is the tag for the Royal Purple colorway. It is, what I really wish these had were like a date that they were, oh, I don't know if that means anything. This says, yeah, 2007 on it, but I don't know if that's like a lot number or something, or if it's actually the year. So I have just these little bits left of the yarns. These are, so the Patton's is all 100% wool. This one is the Ella Ray Cozy Soft. I believe it's a DK because it says it's 75% acrylic and 25% wool, and it's rated for a 3.75 through a 4.5. 213 yards per 100 grams. I think that's a DK, right? It seemed smaller than the worsted Patton's Croy. Anyway, but also, not Patton's Croy, Patton's Classic Wool. Patton's Croy is a sock yarn that I've used multiple times, and Patton's Croy sock yarn is more of like a sport weight, but it's rated as a fingering weight. So, who knows? Maybe this is a worsted. I'm sure that's helpful to you. Who knows what it is? I don't know. Good luck. Wowzers. But yeah, it says the colorway is color 48, which is golden brown. And I used as much as I possibly could of each of the yarns here. So I've thought about just, these are the only worsted leftovers I have in my stash. I try to use as much of the worsted weight that I have when I'm doing a project, because most of the time I'm using worsted weight for a sweater, but I might have to just put these on the inside of a muscle bra and use them up, because I don't really want to start like a tote of worsted weight leftovers or scraps. I don't really want to do that. That is the end of the finished objects, friends. That is the end. Can you believe I have that many? Last time I had a bunch, but that was because I had 2 months worth of finished objects to show you. But this month, whew, it's amazing what you can finish when you just don't cast on a ton of things. She says hypocritically, because she will probably cast on a ton of things this month. So silly. You may remember these are my accidental mittens. I cast these on so that they would be some broken rib socks, because I was just jonesing for a broken rib tonal sock. So obviously I got them here after I did this business, but this is just really cute. And if you're interested in the details around this, I can put the episode number for where I explain everything about it. But I just wanted to show you that I made a long I cord for these for my nephew so that he could put it in his coat. Last year, my sister shared with me that he lost several pairs of mittens at school, and I thought, you know what, maybe this would help. I hope it doesn't make him feel like he's a little kid, but maybe this will help. So there we go. That'll be for him. And thankfully I was able to use up, that was the rest of the black yarn. I did these cuffs and that was it, because that was a 10-gram mini from a friend from a swap. So Yeah, that's nice, isn't it? When you can use up every little bit. That's very nice. Okay, and now we're into works in progress. Yeah, it's okay. I'll pause my podcast and come sing you lullabies. Okay? Okay. You go get in bed, all right? Okay. Okay. Sang lullabies to my kids, and now we can continue on. Like I said, I didn't make any progress on my grannies in a row socks. So, you know, if you want to know about those, you can go to the latest episode before and look at that. But I do have a little bit of progress on these because I finished those other ones. I only have 2 socks on the needles right now, which is kind of crazy. And neither of them are really socks that I can not look at for very long. So that slows me down quite a bit. Now, I did originally make these for my daughter. Sorry, I'm a little out of breath because I ran down the stairs to come back here. Whew, okay. So I originally cast these on for my daughter, who is 5. And she asked for some red socks a long, long time ago. And then I didn't have enough to make her entirely red socks. So I put on this little pop on the top of the cuff and then started these. And then I said, you know what? Let me ask you, do you like these or is it too much black for you? Because she's not really into black. And she goes, no, those are nice, Mom. And then later in the week, she saw the leftovers from the rainbow socks that I made her earlier last year and goes, Mom, actually, I need some rainbow socks, so I need those instead. And I had already finished like the cuffs and stuff for these and thought, okay, what? So at first I was thinking I would just do a fully ribbed sock because that would be fun. And I was going to make them for me, but I'm honestly not in love with this yarn color. I got it as a gift, and I was going to make some socks for my sister with them because she's a birder, and the name of the yarn is Red-Winged Blackbird. So, of course, you can see, like, there's all these blips of red, just like you would see in a red-winged blackbird. But I was planning on doing 25 rounds of ribbing, but I accidentally started counting where the black starts, and I did 3 rounds of the red, and so I had 27 rounds of ribbing, and I thought, I can't, or 28, right? That's 28. And then I thought, I can't just do that. I'm going to do 2 more, and did 2 more rounds. So there's 30 rounds of ribbing on this cuff, which is unnecessary, completely unnecessary. But I thought about doing the rye socks. Are they the Rye Light socks? By Tin Can Knits. I've done those before and I think they're really great for kids. But then I was just still perusing because I wasn't really satisfied. And honestly, a lot of times when I've done a pattern before, unless I was really riveted by that pattern or I really liked the product once it was done, I'm kind of like, meh, when I do it the next time. So what I like about these are called the Banana Socken. And I'll put a picture up of what they have. It's a free pattern and more like a recipe, really. And it's a sock meant for children. I think they do it in a DK in the sample, but of course you can work it in any weight because it's just, you would still be working the same sequence of stitches, you just have a different stitch count around your needle. So what they suggest is they suggest you do a 1x1 rib, and then you do 2x2 rib back here, and then you do 3 rounds of knitting, 3 rounds of purling, 3 rounds of knitting, 3 rounds of purling, so that it has like this kind of curved shape, so looking like a banana sock by the time it's done, so that you don't actually have to put in a heel. Now, the Autumn Acorn is coming to mind. She has a magic heel, which people often use for children or for people that they just don't know exactly what their foot length is, which is lovely. I think she did a great job for that, and you should, like, if you're interested in it, you should definitely buy it. This, I think, achieves a similar what's the word I'm looking for? A similar effect, and it's free. So that's why I took it, read it. I really like it. I think it's going to be cute. My kids have never worn through a pair of socks ever, mostly because they outgrow them before they would wear through them. So in the past, with the socks that I've knit my kids, I've done try to have a heel on them because I figure they're my kids. They're probably going to be tough on their socks like I am. But honestly, we have yet to find a sock that needs any darning whatsoever. It honestly may be because it's traveling down the kids so quickly, but I'm very curious as to how long it would actually take for a sock to wear through for them. So this banana stocking is 64 stitches around, which is mine and my 8-year-old son's. It fits us both. And then because it's ribbed, it will also fit the smaller feet around here. So I think if I just make this for several socks for them, then everybody can wear those socks and I can just throw them in a basket and people can just grab socks, which honestly sounds great because with the hand knit socks, I don't really treat them preciously with the kids, but I do have to pay attention to like whose is whose and putting them in the little baskets in their room and stuff because they want to know where they are all the time. Honestly, they are such Can you hear that? Someone is jamming out. They are such knit-worthy people. Anything that I make for them, they are just so excited and so grateful for that I've had my kids like panicked walking around the house trying to find their knit socks before it's time for us to leave. So it's, sometimes it has a dark side, the knit-worthiness of children. I still have my 2 shawls on the needles. I'm kind of plugging away at those, but there's not a lot of progress to share because they're getting bigger, but they're not, changing a lot because I was going to say the year-long anthology throw. That's not the name of the pattern. It's just called the anthology throw. I'm giving myself a year to make it because it's huge, essentially, and because I'm using leftover yarns to put in it, and I don't always have fingering weight non-superwash leftover yarns, just scraps around. So I have to finish a few projects for me to add them to that. So that's a long-term project. And then I have a half and half wrap, but it's the same color. I'm still working those short rows. It's not super different. I am on the last 25 grams of my first skein of the first color though. And so it feels like progress that I'm close to like switching skeins. That feels really nice. The one thing I did want to show you though, before we move into anything else, is I am modifying, editing an FO. I do this often. I will take something that I made in the past and I will change it because I think it will serve me better or someone else better. So I've done that with, I think, half the sweaters I've made. I change it somehow after I bind it off and block it because I think of a way that I think it would serve me better. So maybe over half of the sweaters I've made. So this one is for my nephew, the same one that the mittens are going to. I made this bunny sweater for him at the same time. Those of you who have been here from the beginning may remember the bunny sweaters at the beginning that I made for my children. And I made one for my nephew as well. These are the colors that he picked. He wanted to be a white bunny. And recently, my sister was sharing with me that he still wears it all the time, but it's getting a little short for him. And then he asked me if I could do long sleeves for it. It's kind of boxy for him, which is nice. That means that if I do lengthen it, then he'll still need to fill it out a little bit. He asked for me to add gray sleeves on it. So I tore out the bind off because you can see there's these garter edges for the bind off. So, oh, what's that little fuzzy? So this used to be just entirely white, but I got some of the peaches and cream yarn, and that's normally used for dishcloths and real hardy things. But I didn't know that when I started out as a knitter. I just thought cotton yarn was just like every other cotton yarn, and I have since learned quite a bit about that. How it can be just as different as wool yarn, the cotton yarns can. But because I did this project with that originally, I have been doing it I've been doing it with it again as I've been doing the long sleeves. This is the peaches and cream stripy yarn, and I put that in first. I tore out the bind off and the garter bumps and everything, and then the white yarn I just did every other. I did a stripy round and then white round and a stripy round and a white round, and just kept going until I was about halfway through that cake, and then started, and I just faded in the gray just how, just with a 6 round fade. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the sleeve, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom, which is why I only did half of this cake for the sleeve. I'm going to do the other half of the cake for the other sleeve, and then do a full cake for the bottom. So it's going to take me a minute just because I have other things that I've got going on, but also in the past when I knit these bunny sweaters, not only does the cotton have no give whatsoever, it's not necessarily a joy to work with. But I think part of why it was so hard on my hands the first time I made it was because I had a death grip on my needles when I first started knitting. Like, these are like titanium. They're going to last forever. But even as I'm knitting the sleeves, the drape on the sleeves is so different than this. Like, it's just, this is so dense. So I am doing a decrease every 6th round here. So I'll do 5 knit rounds, and then, 5 straight rounds, and then I'll do a decrease on each side of the beginning of round mark there. So I don't know when I'm going to get this one finished. Hopefully soon. I have some other things that I would really like to get done before the end of the year. And I think finishing this up and shipping it off to him will be really nice and like clear that for my head. And I really like making things for them because they just really appreciate it. Very knit-worthy people. I didn't say, this is the re-up cotton yarn. So it's recycled cotton. And I will say it's a worsted weight, I believe. Yeah, it's rated as a worsted weight, but it's quite a bit thinner than the peaches and cream yarn. So, not quite a bit. I can tell a difference, which I'm sure is also affecting how much this is hurting my hands because the density of the fabric isn't as like tight. So I'm having an easier time with it this time around. So I'm enjoying it a little bit more, which is great. I did the bunny sweater on 4mm needles, and I'm realizing that the shawls that I have on my needles, I'm gonna need that size needle for another project upcoming. But these are gonna take me a while to finish. And then I'm gonna need this needle for something soon as well. I just really have been thinking about buying a few more fixed circular needles, because then I can take a long time for those things and not have to wait to cast on the planned things. So we'll see how that goes. That's always how it is, right? Last work in progress, for serious now. I almost forgot to show this to you. I cast on a home camisole by Kadri. I am loving it already. I've only been working on it for, I cast it on yesterday, which was September 1st. So today's September 2nd. And of course, people are casting on summer tops in the Northern Hemisphere in September. That's silly. They're generally not. But I am, because I would really like to have a summer top finished before the autumnal equinox comes. I had all these plans for all these summer projects I was going to do. And last year I thought it would be fun to do some summer projects, but I never got through the stuff I was working on. It never happened, and that's okay. And I was okay with it that last year. But this year there were some summer knits that I thought, ooh, that would be nice to have. And I didn't have them. So I am working on it now. I just finished, this is the left triangle here. And it's a kind of a higher V-neck. I think it's going to sit like that. And then this is the right one. And then of course, when I get this one where it needs to be, I'll join them. And I don't know, I haven't read if the back is the same shape as the front or not. That is to be seen. But I'm excited to have it. Look at this stitch definition. Oh my goodness. Look at this. Oh, I'm just enjoying it so much. This was yarn that was gifted to me by a friend. It's Phoenix, Ella Ray Phoenix DK, pure Egyptian Mako cotton. So it is 100% cotton, and it is totally different than the dishcloth cotton. Like, I don't think I can describe. It's cold and slick and very nice. So this one is called Steel. The color, oh, we're a little messy. Let's look at this side. This colorway is called Steel. And let's see, 273 yards per 100 grams, which confirms that Ella Ray yarn before was a DK as well. It is color number 1012, Steel. And then I have this one because I doubt I will be getting through the whole tank with this camisole with this. So I have this one as well that I'm going to fade in at some point. And this is called, oh, I'm sorry, Cloudy Skies, and that's color 1006. And I think these are just going to go so well together. I think I'm going to really like wearing this. It feels beautiful, but also hardy, and so that's nice. And we'll see. I will be making my first summer garment ever in my life. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to like it. But we'll see. We'll see how much wear I get out of it if I get it finished before the autumnal equinox, and if I wear it at all next summer. That's just what happens a lot of the time. I am inspired by the season I'm in, and I'll cast those things on, and then I finish them by the time the season's over, and then the next year I'm like, oh, this is so great that I made this thing last year. It's so convenient that I made this last year because I can wear it now. Whereas if I were knitting the season before, I would be getting that the next season. But that's okay. That's all right. We can all knit our different ways, and it's good to go. We can do what we want, right? Cast on whatever you want in whatever season you're in, whatever hemisphere you're in, whatever. I'm going to show you just a couple of things that I got in the mail. I'm feeling silly because this is a no buy / low buy year for me. And I purchased something last month, totally forgot I purchased it. Purchased something this month, and then they both came in at the same time, and I was like, oh, like, oh, I did not do very well this time. So anyway, I'll show them to you though, because they're beautiful and I like them a lot. So as you may remember, the teeny button yarn is something I absolutely love. Absolutely love. I was so in love with the Bartok yarn that I used. I could not. And when I tell you that I saw her Instagram story post about Avatar The Last Airbender colorway sock club coming up, it was almost like I was not even thinking. I just buy. That is how quickly that happened. I saw the notification about like your order has been received. And I thought, wow, that was almost scary how quickly I did that. I will say though, no regrets. Like I don't feel bad about it at all. It's so perfect. If you know the story, then you'll understand why this is named what it is. This colorway is Azula. Azula is a firebender who is truly unhinged. She is bat crap crazy. Like she's scary. And also like, wow, that's a lot of power, respect, but also you should really figure some of that stuff out. So I love it. And I've just been thinking about like, what should I cast on for this? I love the color. I really have been thinking about doing like some fire pit mitts or something so that they're on my hands like a firebender. I've been thinking about that. I could definitely use it in some socks. I've also thought about doing a muscle burrow with it, but like that's the thing, right? I've done a lot of muscle burrows. I've done a lot of socks. I haven't done a lot of mittens or anything for myself, so that could be an option. But what is your thing? Like if you want to be able to use something in a special way, what's your go-to pattern that you're like, I'm so satisfied with this? I would love to know because I'm still deciding. I think I would like to use it in a couple projects if I can, but who knows? Who knows what I'll be able to do? The next purchase is from Tiny Human Knits. Oh gosh, there we go. Tiny Human Knits. And it is, I'm going to see if I can turn it without it blowing out. I believe it's called Mucha. And it's a 75-25 DK. And it comes with this mini. And I want to make some DK socks. I was wanting to make some DK socks. I thought that would be great. But then it came to the door. And I thought, wouldn't this make a great hat? Like if this was the brim and this was the rest. I had a hat in self-striping that I knit. I knit a muscle burrow with it. It was the first muscle burrow I knit, but I knit it. I didn't trust the pattern. I was like, that's going to be too small. And I added too many stitches, and then it obviously turned out too big for me. So I had to give it to my sister who has a bigger head than me, and she loves it, and that was great. But I wore it all the time, even though it was too big for me, because I liked the stripes. I thought it looked great. So this might be that. Might turn into that. And then the last thing that I have to show you that is new to the wool pantry is this gift from my sister-in-law. She was on vacation and she went to this yarn store, and she and my brother-in-law sent me a message and they were like, look at this great yarn store, isn't it wonderful? If you want anything, let us know. I was like, oh my goodness, I would love a hank of yarn. Please bring me something. And they brought me this Malabrigo. It's called Mechi is the base. It's a fingering weight 100% superwash merino, and the colorway is 890 Mandragora. And look at that. Look at how moody and earthy that is. Oh my goodness. And you have to know her to know that, like, this is not her color palette. This is my color palette. When she gave me this, I was like, oh, this really is for me. Like, it's not just like something you got for you and you thought, I don't know, I'll give it to her. Like, she's like a brighter girl. And this is so sweet. I want to cast this on so soon. I'm just feeling it, y'all. It's wonderful. Oh, also with the Tiny Human Knits yarn, it came with these beautiful stickers. I kind of accidentally crunched them because I didn't know they were stickers. I just thought it was like a little, paper that had some cool pictures on it. But it's all these stickers from like the inspiration that she had for the yarn. Isn't that nice? I might put them in the front of my project notebook. Well, friends, I think that's the end. I was going to show you my colors that I've picked for the Geo Gradient MCal that starts in October, but I don't even know if I've finalized them. So I will post something on Instagram when I have them chosen, of kind of officially. It's hard for me to say officially. Until I've cast on that project and like used all the colors, I feel like there is no officially. You could change your mind at any point, multiple times. Who knows? So I do have a few front runners, which is nice. And that's mostly because I have dwindled down my stash so significantly this past year that there are only a few options for what the brief is for the MCal color choices, which makes it easier. That'll be great. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks so much for tuning in, and leave me an emoji in the comments if you made it to the end. I love knowing who made it to the end, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye.